Welcome back, or if you're new here, hello, my name is Katie, and today I'm going to be doing a very different video. I'm really excited to film this video today. Basically, at the end of every One Piece arc from now on, I would like to do a little discussion video, pretty chill, hopefully not a ton of editing, because I mean, I just want to sit and have a yap and like not edit my thoughts too much. That's what we're gonna do today. Obviously, starting with Punk Hazard. I kind of wish I'd done this sooner, but I guess now that like Punk Hazard was our first actual journey into the new world, our first arc in the new world, then it's a good starting point, right? So if this does eventually go on YouTube, if you are part of Patreon, you're gonna see this way in advance because I film, in advance for Patreon to get early access. If this does end up on YouTube, then the exclusivity that comes with Patreon is that you're gonna be given the chance to ask questions. Because of how far I film in advance, people on YouTube won't get to ask questions. Patrons will be the ones who will get to ask the questions at the end of the arcs, contribute to the discussion. So if you want to join in on that, I would love to have you over here or over there, wherever you're watching this. I have some talking points that I want to get through in this video. I'm really excited because doing these types of videos gives me the chance to kind of sit with my thoughts on the arc a little bit more than what I can, at the end of a reaction. Because I do share a lot of thoughts, obviously, at the start of my reactions. And, in the middle, I pause a lot when I have a thought. And at the end. However, it takes a little bit of time for things to like settle in my brain and to like really think of theories and stuff. Honestly, sometimes at the end of episodes, I'm like so floored by what's happened that I'm a little bit head empty. So this gives me the chance to actually sit with it for a bit, write down actual talking points, and discuss them with you, which I think is really fun. So, Punk freaking Hazard. Let's talk about it. I have some talking points, but I just want to say, first of all, that overall, I really, really enjoyed this arc. I said this in so many of my videos, but there was so much running in this freaking arc. And like the episode that stands out to me in particular is the one, because I just edited it yesterday, and it was the one where they were running to the door, they were opening the lab door. Because Luffy and the others, they had gotten out of the cage, they gotten into the lab, and then they were opening the door, and then Brownbeard was carrying all the others and running to the door. The pacing of that episode was a bit dire. I can deal with pacing issues, like it's fine. It's really not a big deal to me. Blah blah blah. Besides that, I really loved Punk Hazard for many different reasons that we're going to go into. The main reason, like the overarching reason being, is that I feel like it has set up so much to go into Dressrosa with. And it's given like so much intrigue on characters that I was already intrigued about, but like even more, and has made me so excited to go into Dressrosa. I can't remember the last time I was like this excited to start a new arc. I'm always excited to start a new arc, don't get me wrong, but like the lead up to Dressrosa has been so good. Punk Hazard just laid all those foundations down and has made me so excited to get like hopefully a lot of answers to a lot of questions I have, and just to see honestly where things go. So without further ado, we'll get into my talking points that I have about this arc. The first one that I need to address is I talked about this in my last reaction, like the last two kind of wrap up episodes of Punk Hazard, which was 628 and 629, the devil fruit respawn. Oh my god. So I can't remember. I'm gonna be honest. I can't remember if it has been explained in the anime before. Maybe it was like way back. I don't know. It could have been explained once and I may have forgotten. But the devil fruit respawning thing, you know, a lot of you had to explain to me about how it genuinely, it wasn't explained in the episode. So obviously that's where my confusion came from. Yeah, so Smiley was given the Zoan type fruit of axolotl, I believe. And then when he ate the candy that Caesar gave him, I assume it was just like a massive version of what he was giving the children, which was like, it was the poison and it killed him. And then that meant that the devil fruit respawned into one of the apples. Now that makes a whole lot of sense. And it leaves a lot of intrigue now, because now that we know this happens for sure, and we know also that it has happened with Ace's fruit because doflamingo has it, it opens up my freaking mind to any devil fruit user we have seen die before. Not that I can think of many, except for one that I'm going to talk about in a second. But users that we may see die in future too. I didn't even think about the fact that devil fruits could respawn. I thought that those powers may have just died with the user, but obviously not. I wonder then if those apples were brought to Smiley so that devil fruit could respawn there, but then no one went to get it. So I don't know if that was just those guys' lunch, or like if they meant to do that. But if so, they've just left it there, right? Like that Zoan type fruit, it's just there on Punk Hazard. I don't think anyone took it. Maybe they wanted to save it, but then a lot of shit happened and they forgot about it or something. I'm not sure. But maybe that was also just put in to just show us what happens. But yeah, one of the things that this has made me think about is Blackbeard's magical trick to get Whitebeard's devil fruit abilities. His whole charade of covering Whitebeard up when he died, and then having his devil fruit. Did he just have a stack of apples with him and that's how he did it? I'm assuming, unless he can do something else crazy, that has to be it, right? He's making it this whole like performance, but I am assuming that that's what he did. I feel like that was not explained in the anime, and I think it's actually so funny in like hindsight that led me onto the trail of the artificial devil fruits, but like in the wrong way. Like I predicted the artificial devil fruits in the complete wrong way. Yeah, this whole artificial devil fruit business, these smiles, this is such an interesting thing, because we know that Doflamingo is supplying these to people, specifically Kaido. And yeah, he's his biggest business partner for these devil fruits. It's interesting though, I think like one of the things that I wanted to talk about was the fact that Momonosuke obviously ate one of these devil fruits. However, his was created by Vegapunk versus these ones that are created by Caesar. I assume Caesar was studying Vegapunk's like research on how to make these, and that's how he has being able to do it. And I wonder if this gives, like, Momonosuke's being the only one, we assume, that was created by Vegapunk. I wonder if this gives him anything unique. You know, obviously we know that, I mean, devil fruit users are unique. And even having a smile fruit would make you pretty unique. However, he's, as far as we know, the only one to have eaten a devil fruit made by Vegapunk. And didn't they say that Vegapunk saw it as a failure, but like obviously it's not. So I find that very interesting. Obviously Vegapunk was doing this in a government research facility. So does the government know that he can do this, and are they using it as well? But then if he thought that it was a failure and that was his only one and he left it there, then perhaps not. But is that something that he is possibly now still trying to achieve for the government, for the Marines. I don't know, something to think about. Vegapunk is a character that obviously keeps coming up for good reason. The whole like scientific side of One Piece, whenever he is mentioned, is so intriguing to me because I don't know, just like deep down, like I think like what we've heard of Vegapunk and like that, you know, what those people were when Frankie was, you know, in his 2-year stint in his research lab in his home, those people believed that Vegapunk was like a good person. And the more we learn about him, it's conflicting, right? Because I think at my core, I want to believe that Vegapunk is kind of in a similar vein to like Smoker, Tashigi, Kobe, Sengoku, you know, people who genuinely believe in justice and maybe genuinely believes that he is doing the right thing. The Kuma thing always throws me off though, because he's literally, you know, creating a human weapon like out of a person. And I just don't know, you know, even if someone was to give themselves up for that, if, you know, if Kuma's like willingly like, yeah, do that to me, which again is something that that's a whole other tangent that I struggle to wrap my head around because he was a revolutionary before, but I digress. Yeah, Vegapunk is someone that all in all, I'm just very, very fascinated by because he's done all of these like amazing things. Like he's a freaking genius, but what are his beliefs? Like what does he truly believe that he is doing, you know, for the world? Does he truly believe that he's doing good? Because then, you know, at the same time, you could say in the world of One Piece that it's not that easy. It's not easy to just say that you're doing good because you can't really draw a line of good and bad in this world. It's like, I don't know, doing your best or something. But yeah, I think all of that was just very intriguing. I do wonder what it means for Momonosuke and his powers and like how his powers are going to evolve, how he's going to like maybe grow up with those powers or like what they're going to do to him because he is the first case of like the only devil fruit made by Vegapunk. So, you know, what could Vegapunk have been intending with his fruits? Was it simply just, you know, because from our understanding of what Caesar is making is it's just like artificial Zoan fruits and that kind of draws the line there maybe. But with Vegapunk, was he trying to accomplish more? So that leads on to my intrigue of Kinemon and Momonosuke. Obviously, I do believe that these two are going to be very important characters because, you know, they come from Wano. Eventually, we're going to go to Wano. They have ties with Kaido. You know, they reacted interestingly. I do believe that they acted very interestingly when Law and them mentioned Kaido because there's like they were interested, but then they were trying to kind of hide it. And then I was putting the context clues together and I'm theorizing that Kaido could be a dragon Zoan fruit user. Kind of like Marcus's, what is it called? Mythical Phoenix, whatever he's called. I feel like Kaido could be mythical dragon because Kinemon fucking hates dragons. You know, they hate pirates. They think they're barbaric. They kind of flinched at the name Kaido. So it's like, is he overtaking Wano? Is he doing something in Wano? I assume that that's maybe what that is. And then that's why Kinemon kind of hates dragons. I don't know, putting those together. But yeah, I think that these two we're going to be seeing a lot of them probably. I think they're going to become very pivotal to the plot. And there's just something about kids in One Piece that I think Momonosuke is going to, I don't know, I think he's just going to become very important just because, didn't they say as well that Doflamingo was chasing them. So maybe he knew that they left Wano. Maybe Kaido knew that they left Wano. He wanted them for some reason. Maybe he wanted Momonosuke for some reason. And then sent Doflamingo after them, perhaps. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about kids in One Piece. They always, a lot of the time they have like some kind of, I don't know, they're like special. And I think especially because of their ties to Wano and Kaido and, you know, all of that. And now having Vegapunk's only devil fruit. I don't know. I feel like Momonosuke is going to become very important as we go rescue their friend that is in Dressrosa. So I'm really interested to see what happens with them. I just think Momonosuke is so cute, and if anything happens to him, I will send an angry letter to Oda or something. Anyways, speaking of characters, obviously I need to talk about Law and his whole reintroduction to the story, because oh my god, okay, buckle up because I have a lot to say. I find Law fascinating, just fascinating, because when we last saw him, before the time skip in Shibondi, I find in Punk Hazard is way more stoic, way more mysterious. I don't know, just like his whole vibe in Shibondi was like, I don't know, he seemed pretty carefree or something. Like nothing was really bothering him. He was there to see Luffy do shit, whatever. And then he helped him fight. But like Punk Hazard, he's more stoic. He's very man on a mission. And the last time we saw him with his crew, mind you, his crew aren't with him, which I find interesting. He did mention that they're in Zoo, a different place, waiting for him. It makes me wonder how long he's been without his crew and what happened in the time where he said when his crew were like talking about them setting out to the new world along with everybody else, and Law said about waiting. And I genuinely thought Law was thinking of waiting till they hear from like Luffy again. But something must have happened that like made him do all of the things that he's now been doing, you know, becoming a warlord, going to Punk Hazard and doing all of the stuff that he has been doing in Punk Hazard. It obviously has something to do with Doflamingo and Kaido. Those are the two that he's targeting. It's making more sense in my brain, like why Law is going after Doflamingo, because he said, I mean, from the crumbs that we have, he said that he used to work for him. So there's suggestions of a past there, right? So they have a past. Maybe he doesn't like him for some reason, and he wants to stop his whole thing that Doflamingo, he said he's been working for 10 years to do what he's doing, and Law just wants to see it crumble. There's obviously some personal tie there, and again, I just can't wait to see their backstories because I'm dying to know like what went on. With Kaido though, it's really interesting because I don't really fully understand why he wants to take down Kaido specifically, because if he wants to be king of the pirates or whatever, you know, that makes sense to want to take down an emperor. It makes sense to want to take them all down, but why he's going after Kaido specifically? If he goes after Kaido, then that's like Doflamingo's #1 business partner. He won't have the same kind of like thing that he's got going now with Kaido. But our first stop is Doflamingo, so that's probably going to be something that is severed before we ever get to Kaido. So I wonder if these things link, like his feelings towards Doflamingo link with Kaido, or if that's just like a whole other thing that we don't really know about yet. I don't know. Maybe more will make sense when we see Law's backstory. But yeah, for me now, it's like I can see like hints of why he wants to take down Doflamingo. There's definitely some kind of personal thing there. Kaido is an interesting one because, yeah, it makes sense to want to take down all the emperors, but why him specifically? It's a lot of question marks over Kaido right now with everyone that I've talked about, basically. I also have to mention the insane amounts of intel that Law has. He, knows about the government trying to make artificial giants for like hundreds of years or whatever it was that he said. Obviously, that information is not easy to come across because not even Robin knew that, and Robin knows fucking everything. The revolutionaries probably have so much intel on the world government, but the fact that she didn't know that was very interesting to me. So I'm like, where does Law get his intel from? Is it from his time snooping on Punk Hazard? Did Monet or Caesar like blab something? Was he able to get information out of them, or does it come from another source, or has he done his own snoopings? Yeah, all in all, you know that Law is super fascinating to me. I need to know more about him because I feel like his whole stoic, mysterious thing, I don't know. I'm getting the sense that this man is like, he doesn't let people in easily, and I don't know, he's got trauma in his eyes. You know what I mean? I need to know his backstory. I mean, every One Piece backstory is traumatizing. But there's something about him that I'm just like, I don't think that you're all that you like to put out into the world, you know? I think that there's something just under the surface that makes me think he just doesn't let people in super easily, and that he might be a little bit of a softie. Because also, right, his fascination with Luffy kind of says it all for me, really, because maybe he has a fascination with Luffy for a different reason that we don't know yet. Maybe he sees an advantage of like being with him. And I mean, there is, at the end of the day, having an alliance with Luffy does look advantageous to him because like Luffy's gotten a lot stronger. He's done a lot of crazy things, but I wonder if it's more than that, you know? Does he, I don't know what it could be, but like, why is he so particularly fascinated with Luffy? He risked it all to save Luffy's life at the end of Marineford. And now he's allying with him. The way that he acts with the Straw Hats and Luffy in particular, if he was so stoic and like, just, I'm better off being alone and like all of this as he comes across, he would have like turned his heel and walked away and like not put up with Luffy's bullshit. You know what I mean? I feel like deep down, this is something, I don't know, Law, I feel like Law is very, I don't know, there's something about him. I need to know his backstory. I need to know why he is the way that he is. It's like when he said to leave the kids and everything in Punk Hazard and then he saved them all. I know that's his job as a surgeon and everything, but I'm just not falling for his whole facade of being like this like edgelord. You know, I don't think he's as edgy as he likes to think he is. I don't know. And then the last thing that I kind of want to really talk about is Doflamingo. Doflamingo, first of all, is rotting my brain. This is my phone right now. Things are going well. But yeah, in all seriousness, Doflamingo is a character that continues to fascinate me literally every time he appears. We met him, I mentioned in one of my last videos, we met him way back in like episode like 150 or something. And then we saw glimpses of him, mentions of him, and then in Marineford. And I actually, this morning, I went back and watched his speech at Marineford because I wanted to have it fresh in my mind. And it's like a tiny speech. He says like 3 sentences, but it's one of the best moments in One Piece because oh my God, it just hits so hard, the stuff that he says about justice and the ones who win will become justice. like it's decided by the winner who is right and who is wrong, and it's all about perspective. That makes me so interested in him as a character, because he just doesn't seem like this like one-dimensional cartoony villain. There's 100% more to him than meets the eye, because to have that perspective, you have to have been through some shit to have that perspective. He talked about kids who have grown up with everything and kids who have grown up in the midst of war or had nothing, or however he worded it, you know? To have that perspective in the middle of a war is a really interesting thing. Kind of sums up the world of One Piece, you know, when you watch the show and you think like, who are the good guys, who are the bad guys, and it's not like, that's what always blows my mind about this show, is that it has all these moving parts, and it's never that simple. Like, it actually does a disservice to the writing to say that someone is just pure good or pure bad, you know? That's too simple. I fucking love that scene where he says that. I don't know if I think I did appreciate it in the moment, but I think seeing more of Dofi now, yeah, I appreciate it even more, and I think I'll appreciate it even more when we get to know more about him. Especially, I hope that we get like some kind of backstory on him, because I want to know how he got to where he is, or like who he even is. You know what I mean? So anyways, I did say in my last video that those last kind of 2 episodes that wrapped up the arc really changed my thoughts on what I thought he was going to do in Dressrosa, because I actually fully did not expect him to resign from the warlords. You know, it was basically choosing between being pursued by the Marines versus like Kaido, basically. And he chose to have Caesar back so that he wouldn't be pursued by Kaido. Now, when he was on the phone with Law and Luffy, he did smile, and he is a big smiler. He's a big cheeser, but you know, this could have a lot of implications. Him resigning from the warlords, it could have a lot of implications for him, for Dressrosa, for the people of Dressrosa. But it looks like he has a plan, or at least he thinks he has a plan, because couldn't they just come and throw him and Impel Down? Wouldn't they have enough to... But again, you see, I say that, and like a lot of his stuff is like underground dealings, shady underground shit. So are the government gonna arrest him based on that? Would that expose some stuff about them because Virgo was involved? Would they cover that up? Probably. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what implications this has, but like, he's obviously in danger with the Marines now. But yeah, I literally wrote in my notes, he's obviously gonna do neither. I did not expect him to resign from the warlords, so that kind of has kind of blown my mind a little bit. So but from his whole body language, his whole facial expressions and everything in those episodes, it does seem as though he thinks he has a plan. And I think his plan, not specifically relating to the warlords or anything, but a huge part of what he has in store or planned is surrounding having Ace's devil fruit. And he thinks that Luffy is going to be really interested in this and not want anyone to have it. So I'm wondering exactly what approach he's going to have with this. Like, how is he going to use this to manipulate Luffy? Because, like, what would he threaten to do with it so that Luffy would be like, no, don't do that, you know? I said in my last video, like, I don't know how far Luffy's sentimentality for the devil fruit goes, that he would want no one to have it. I don't know if he would fully care. I don't know. It's either like, I don't know if he would fully care, or if it would be a case of like, he would want someone that he liked or Ace liked to have his fruit, or for no one to have it, or he just doesn't want it in the wrong hands. You know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how Luffy would feel about a devil fruit. Obviously, he loved Ace and he cared about him, but his devil fruit is like kind of stumping me. I'm very curious to see exactly what he thinks of that, because I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know, and I don't know what Doflamingo is thinking with that. Like what he's going to threaten to do with it, really. He could threaten to give it to an enemy. He could threaten to give it to Blackbeard. Wait a second. Now that would be fucked. He could threaten to give it to Blackbeard. If Blackbeard can take another devil fruit, I mean, I don't know if he can take more than 2, but if he could, and he could threaten to give it to Blackbeard, I think that would be a deal breaker for Luffy. Yeah, I think it would be dependent on the fucking person. That's the thing. Very intrigued to see where that goes and to see what his plan is with that. But yeah, again, circling back to the warlord thing, it puts it into perspective how Doflamingo feels about his partnership with Kaido to resign from the warlords, to get Caesar back and, you know, continue his partnership with Kaido. He'd rather risk, we're assuming he'd rather risk being thrown in Impel Down than to piss off Kaido or break that partnership. Now, is that because he fears for his life, or is there bigger implications than that? You know, I talked in my last video, like, what exactly is Doflamingo getting out of his partnership with Kaido? Is it just money? Is it just money? If so, that's fair enough. Get your bag if that's all he cares about. But if he is someone who, I mean, his crew have mentioned, I think it was Monet, was like, he's going to be king of the pirates, or wants him to be king of the pirates. I feel like there would have to be more in it for him than just money. I think that's an intriguing one. I don't know what it could be. There could be more. But I do think I do think there's probably more to it. I just don't know exactly what. And I think he probably fears Kaido as well, you know, because Kaido is regarded as the strongest creature. So obviously you wouldn't want to have him pissed off, I assume. But again, is it just Dofi's life that he's scared he will lose? I mean, it's a pretty big thing to lose, but you know what I mean? Like, is that it? Or is there more to it? I don't know. Listen, I'm really intrigued by Law. Obviously, you know that. I'm intrigued by Momonosuke, Kinemon, everyone. But I think I've said it for a long time now. The character that I am most intrigued by is Doflamingo. I love an antagonist, and I love a well-written antagonist especially. I love to, like, analyze an antagonist character. I love to know their backstory, their motivations, what made them this way, what keeps them going, what kind of like fucks with them as well, because he's like this charismatic character and he's so like on the outside, he's quite cool and he's so smiley and he laughs, but like what keeps him up at night? He can't always have this facade. You know, I feel like what is going on in his brain? I need to know. Like, I need to know who he really is. I need to know how he, like, actually feels about people, like his crew. Because, you know, Virgo and freaking Monet were willing to die for him. And he was like, yeah, I need you to do that. So are they just pawns for him, or is it more than that? Does he like really care about his crew? They have a really interesting dynamic, to say the very least, considering the fact that yeah, he literally asked them to die for him, and he kills Baby Five's fiancés. I have to say though, she has interesting ways that she chooses her fiancés, but yeah. Doflamingo is fascinating and a huge part of why I'm so excited to watch Dressrosa, because oh my god, I hope we get a backstory. I hope we find out more about him. We will, but like to the extent of what, I'm not sure. I need to know more about him as a person, you know? I'd love to know more about his powers as well, because yeah, it's pretty clear that it's something to do with like puppetry, strings, you know, something like that. And I think his power is really cool, so I'd like to see more of that. But yeah, Dofi is just a character that ever since he first appeared, I've been more and more intrigued about him, and the intrigue is like through the roof, and I can't wait to just see what's going on. Those are my thoughts on Punk Hazard, and all in all, I thought it was such a great arc for all of these reasons, like all of the intrigue with the characters, the setup for the next arc, making me really excited for the next arc, you know, setting things in motion that I feel like is gonna last a really long time. And it's also like an arc that puts into perspective how much the world of One Piece continues to move. You know, with everything going on with Kaido, the business deals between Kaido and Doflamingo, Buggy joining the Warlords, like it's all moving all the time. And this arc is like one of those that's just like really highlighted that, you know, and I really, really love that. So, and I have to give an honorable mention to Caesar Clown. As much as I really fucking hated him, that's the sign of a well-written character. When you feel so strongly about them, either way, I feel like they're well-written. I fucking hate him, and I think he's one of the worst, most horrifying villains that we've seen so far, but really well written, I think. So well done, I guess. Okay, so I've yapped for a really long time, so I'm gonna answer some questions that you guys left on Patreon. Either like this is my first you know, arc focused Q&A and also One Piece focused Q&A. So some of you have asked me just some general One Piece questions, which is also fine. But yeah, I'm going to do this at the end of every arc. And yeah, if you think of any questions that you want to ask me at the end of an arc, write it down and I will make a post on Patreon at the end of the arc, and you can ask me whatever you like about what I thought of that arc. And I just think it's a really fun way to just keep yapping about what we just watched. The Underdog 2020 asked, what's the biggest mystery so far that you're most curious to eventually get revealed? There's so many, but like I mentioned, I'm dying to see Doflamingo and Law's backstories. To me, they're a mystery. I just want to know. I feel like the world of One Piece has so many mysteries, but for me, the things that intrigue me the most are characters and understanding them. So the characters, until I know their backstories and everything, they're a mystery to me. So I want to know what brought Law to where he is and why he feels so strongly about everything that Doflamingo is doing. And I want to know more about Doflamingo, how he got to where he is, why he's doing what he's doing. Those are my genuine two biggest mysteries that I cannot wait to dig deeper into. The Underdog also asked, do you have a favorite female character? This is really hard because I feel like choosing between Nami and Robin is close to impossible. I don't know. I love them both for their own ways, because both of their backstories were just absolutely beautiful and heart-wrenching. Every time they do something, I'm like, that's my fucking queen. I don't know. I'd say like maybe by like 0.1% it might be Nami. Maybe because she's been with us longer or something. I don't know. I love them both so much though. Honorable mention to Vivi as well. I miss her all of the time. But yeah, I'd say it's probably Nami, you know. Punk Hazard made me really like Tashigi a lot more as well. I feel like she has a really good heart. I liked that she wanted to bring the kids home, you know, to make up for what Virgo had done. So yeah, it made me like her a lot more as well. But yeah, I would say Favorite female character is probably Nami. She's my queen, and I just adore her, but I adore Robin too, and it's really hard to choose. The underdog also asked favorite devil fruit ability so far. I always think about this, and I'm like, which one would I like to have? And I genuinely don't think I would like to have any of them. I think in my Q&A video, I said I would like to have a Zoan fruit that turns me into a kitten. Because like pretty much every devil fruit that we see in the show is like good for fighting. But you know what I was thinking the other day? Law's devil fruit would be great if you were like not you like didn't think that you could become a surgeon, right? To make to be in a good career and make a shit ton of money. If you had Law's devil fruit ability, you could become a surgeon and be really fucking good at it. So I would choose that. And also I think it's my favorite ability that we've actually, well, Law's or Doflamingo's, because Doflamingo's really intrigues me. And I think it's really cool that he can kind of control people like puppets, but also use strings like swords to cut through things. But Law's is like, he can do so much within his room. It's actually quite mind-blowing. So I really, really like those two. I think they're very cool, very creative. Yes, probably a tie between those two. The underdog has asked quite a few questions, which I really appreciate. So thank you. So the next couple of questions are also from him. What's your opinion on Akiji and his actions? That's really interesting because I didn't touch on Akiji. I really respect him for leaving the Marines based on not agreeing with the direction that they are going. But like the way that he said to Smoker, you know who I am, or you know what I'm all about, it does make me wonder, like, what is he doing though? Like, why was he going to Punk Hazard again? You know, obviously he fought there. Was he going there to reminisce? Why was he on his way to Punk Hazard? And then didn't he just leave? Did he leave in that episode after he talked to Smoker and everything? So like, what was he doing? And what is he doing? And what is he gonna be doing? Is he trying to figure stuff out, just not as a Marine? Like, is he still gonna try and do good? I'm very, I don't know. I don't know what to think of him at this point. I respect his decision for sure. But I have no idea what the future could hold for him. Cause like, where is he going? What's he gonna do? I don't know. I'm excited to see what he does. Like, what if he becomes a pirate now? But then I don't know why he would do that. Oh, you also asked, do you think he's changed for better or for worse? What do you think he's doing nowadays? Goals or intentions? See, this is, I don't know. I feel like I didn't know enough about him before to be sure that I could say like, oh, this is what I think that he's doing. I do think that maybe he is one of the ones that's kind of aligned with doing the right thing, like Smoker, all of them. And, you know, ultimately that's why he left. Like, why would you want to be under the command of a Kainu? His goals and intentions, like, I really, like, maybe, I don't know. Could he become a pirate to fight against a Kainu? But then that would make no sense to what I was saying. Could he become a revolutionary? I don't know. I genuinely, like, head empty when it comes to Akiji, because that man is hard to read. You know, I don't know what he could want, what he could be doing. I do, like, there's part of me that believes that he maybe still wants to do good. Like, he wants to contribute in a good way to the world. But what does that look like for him now? I'm not sure. But like the life of a Marine, and would he go back to just living a normal life as a civilian? I don't think so. So that's why I'm like, could he become a pirate? Could he become a revolutionary? Could he be gathering intel for like someone or something? I don't know. He'll be doing something. One of those things. I'm going to say that I think he's going to become a pirate or a revolutionary. I feel like he's going to be on the side of maybe finding out the truth about what's really going on with the Marines and the corruption in the government. And then maybe he'll have his villain origin story. You know what I'm saying? And then the last thing that the underdog talked about was Smoker. So Smoker really needs to up his game. Got his ass handed to him by Law, Caesar, Virgo, and Dofi, not to mention failing to protect a majority of his men from quote unquote dying to the gas and his signature weapon being broken. Got his heart literally ripped out from his chest, turned into a lady, and laughed at by his arch rival. Man's on a curse losing streak, taking every L possible. Wonder what his headspace is like after all that. Love Smoker, but this was not his arc. Oda did him dirty. I agree. And it's actually quite shocking how badly he took the L in this arc. I feel like that's going to be a huge hit to his ego for many, many reasons. Not just the getting his ass handed to him by all these people, but what he has learned about Virgo and what happened, that has got to be such a fucking slap in the face. You know, to know that that's going on in the Navy is one thing, but in your very unit is crazy. And I feel like it's going to be such a knock to his ego that I think that he's going to have to kick himself up the ass. He's going to try to get stronger in some way. And maybe he's going to try to seek out if there's more shit like that going on, you know, that Virgo did. I'm not sure, but yeah, poor Smoker. I feel bad for him because he's a great character, but like, god damn, it was not his arc at all. Okay, so Owen asked, what is your favorite devil fruit of each type? Logia, Zoan, and Paramecia. Okay, so Logia, I would say, I don't know if any of them are like super like, whoa, that's so cool. To me, I'm gonna go with probably, okay, it's a tie between Kizaru and Ace. Because I think Kizaru's is cool with the light. I just think the light, that's cool. Ace with the flame fruit, the fire, that's also really cool. I don't know, I like light and fire. Yeah, those are probably my favorites. I also would kind of want to say Blackbeard's fruit, the shadow one, or is it dark or shadow, whatever one. That one is cool as fuck, but I don't like Blackbeard, so I don't want to say it. But it is cool and really terrifying. So yeah, that's probably also one of my favorites. I don't know, I like those three. Zoan, I would say Marco, the mythical phoenix. That shit is so cool and so beautiful. Whoa. Love it. 10 out of 10. The colors so pretty. And yeah, just such a cool ability. And Paramecia, I already said it, probably Doflamingo and Law. Their powers are so fascinating to me and so cool. James asked, how has your emotional connection to the series, world, characters evolved throughout this journey? I'm curious what your impression of the series was going in. Were you daunted by the episode count compared to how you view it now? You know what? I've actually never been daunted by the episode count of One Piece before. And the reason for that is because when I really, really like something, like I really like a piece of media, like a TV show, anime, game, whatever, the thing is, like, I just never want it to end. And when I started One Piece, I was like, if I love this, I am not going to be finished this for such a long time, and I get to live in this for such a long time that it just, yeah, it's never really daunted me. It's just excited me. So like when I tell someone to watch One Piece and they're like, oh, but it's over 1,000 episodes, I'm like, girl, that's a blessing if you like it though, because it never ends. I mean, it does end. It will actually end. And I feel like being over episode 600, I'm like, oh my God, I'm catching up, even though I'm kind of like, I'm not. But you know what I mean? It's like, I never want it to end. So the episode count has never really daunted me. when I first started this show, the thing with me is like every time I start a piece of media, I if I really like it, I will get heavily invested. But I feel like I have a very unique connection to One Piece. I mean, not unique as in like no one else has this, because there's other One Piece creators out there, but it's not what I expected, because when I started my reaction channel, I didn't think that, like, at the time I was streaming on Twitch and I thought that that's what I was going to be doing for like as long as I possibly could. And I thought, you know, I really like playing games on Twitch. So I would love to like go on an anime journey on YouTube and just like share that. And it's just like a fun thing that I do on the side of streaming. Now that has completely flipped. I don't stream anymore. And this is my whole thing. And One Piece has become my career, which I'm so grateful for and feel so fucking blessed that like me recording this now hour-long video yapping about One Piece is part of my job. I feel like I have such a strong emotional connection to the show because of that, because it in so many ways, like, you know, obviously the story and in many ways the characters I feel like have changed my life, but like literally One Piece has changed my life. I have a very, very strong emotional connection to this show because of those reasons. But I've just, every time I watch the show, I just feel so invested in the world. Like, I get this with like most things that I consume in media, games, shows, whatever. When I'm like watching an episode, I genuinely like feel like I'm there. Like, I feel like I'm part of the world. And One Piece is such an alive world that I do genuinely feel like part of it. You know what I mean? I never thought it would be such a big hyperfixation for me. But yeah, it's something that I really love so much. Yeah, this show is just, it's really, really special. It's unlike anything else any other media that I've ever consumed. Honestly, it's the most special. And I feel like that's only just evolved, you know, since I started watching it. I never felt daunted by it because of the length or anything, like I said, but yeah, I guess I went in so bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and I didn't expect it to be this life-changing thing in many ways that it is. And yeah, my connection to it only grows stronger literally all the time. So yeah. The last question is from Right Hand Man. With over 600 episodes under your belt and knowing what you know so far, do you feel overwhelmed or underwhelmed with the amount of information given? Is the storyline going too slow for you? I do not think that the storyline is going too slow for me. Sometimes I feel a little overwhelmed because I cannot retain all of the information in my brain. There is so much lore to this show that I feel bad when I forget little details. Especially, you know, like being a reactor, the amount of like really fucking stupid moments that I have had reacting to this show. And I'm like editing it and I'm like, oh girl, how did you think that? Or how did you forget that? And whatever. It's a lot of information to take in. And I feel like if it was moving faster, my head would be spinning constantly. I like how long One Piece is because it gives us enough room to like really explore things, really explore characters, give us these beautiful backstories, all of this foreshadowing. Like, Oda is such a fucking genius writer that having a show this length or a piece of media this length only makes it a much more invested experience. Does that make any sense? And I don't think that it's moving too slowly. I think, in fact, it's moving too fast and it needs to slow down. I'm sure if you've been watching One Piece since the beginning, week to week, yeah, I'm sure that it could probably feel pretty slow at points. But for me, I have the perspective of like being able to watch it as and when I want. So it doesn't feel like that for me. yeah, I can imagine there's been a lot of points where any of you have waited week to week. You're like, can we get to the point? But yeah, I just, in general of it all, I don't think it's moving too slowly. I don't think that not enough information is given. I think the way that the information is given just leaves, you know, like Punk Hazard, like I've talked about this whole video, leaves a lot of room for intrigue and like, ooh, excitement for the next arc and all that kind of stuff, you know? So yeah. This video was so fun to film. I've been filming this for over an hour now, and I really hope that you enjoyed this big yap session about Punk Hazard and all my thoughts and my theories and everything. I'm really excited to do these at the end of every arc. Please do let me know if you enjoyed this video, because yeah, I'm gonna do them going forward, and I just really hope that you enjoyed them. Thank you so much if you left me a question. And for Dressrosa, I don't know how long the arc is because I don't like looking, but like, you know, if you think of questions along the way, I will be doing this at the end of Dressrosa as well, and we'll have a big old discussion then. So like, yeah, if you want to be one of the people to ask a question and you want to be in this discussion, be on Patreon, and yeah, we'll do that at the end of Dressrosa. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed having a big old yap and talk about One Piece, and I hope you did too. So leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe to keep up with all of my journeys onwards and everything. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves, and I will see you in Dressrosa. Okay, bye. A huge, huge thank you to all of my Patreon members whose support really, really helps my channel, and especially my highest tier members who are all on screen right now. I appreciate your support so much, and it really helps me continue doing what I love, which is sharing my reactions with you. So thank you so much.